One of the questions that people are asking right now after seeing what is happening in Masjid Al-Aqsa is that when the Muslims will liberate Al-Quds, when the Muslims will go to Masjid Al-Aqsa and take it back from the Jew. This is one of the questions. If Palestine is taken by Israel, who cares? It is just a land, we should not care. Who is controlling Jerusalem, we should not care about it. To them, I have this answer. This piece of land, this holy land, it belongs to the Muslims. People who accepted the faith of Ibrahim alayhi salam, people who accepted Yaqub alayhi salam, because Yaqub alayhi salam was the one who built the temple. We call it temple, but really this place is where Yaqub alayhi salam came, and he preached monotheism to all the people. The Jew, they rejected monotheism. Even though they say Yaqub alayhi salam belongs to us, doesn't make any sense and doesn't make any difference, because if you do not follow his message, then who are you? The land belongs to the righteous, the people who would establish the law of Allah Azza wa Jal and will follow monotheism. So the group that are saying that, well, this land is not a big deal, just forget about it, this is your answer. This belongs to the Muslim. Yaqub alayhi salam is a monotheistic person, a prophet of Allah, and we also believe exactly what Yaqub alayhi salam believes. This is why, and this piece of land is so important, because this was established by Yaqub alayhi salam. So the question begs, when we will see that this piece of land, Jerusalem, will be liberated by the Muslims. After doing a lot of research and coming across a lot of hadith, dear brothers and sisters, one thing I have found out, it could be a bad news, but at the same time it's a good news. The bad news, I will give you that. The bad news is that the way it is right now, it's not going to change. The status quo of Jerusalem will not change. It will still remain in the hand of the Jew. However, the good news, now I'm giving you the good news, is that the Mahdi that inshallah Allah will send, the Khalif, he is going to inshallah liberate Jerusalem. Why? Because the Dajjal will not be able to enter Jerusalem. Rasulullah said that Dajjal will not be able to enter Al-Quds, Jerusalem and Mecca, and also Medina. He mentioned specifically Al-Quds, that this Palestine, this land, the Dajjal will not be able to enter. So that's a side note. But the main point here is that the Muslims will not be able to do anything right now, simply because this piece of land is given to Allah Azza wa Jal to whomever He wills. It is not something we can say, well, let's go and get it back from them, because if you think in a logistic way, you will see that it is impossible. This city, Jerusalem, has been named as the capital of Israel. It has been backed up by the whole world, the world power that are in place right now. They are there to protect and support them so that they stay there. And not only that, dear brothers and sisters, the Muslims on the time bad things happen, Allah Azza wa Jal will test us, and He would decide whether He will give this land back to us or not, based on our sincerity. If we are talking about it, let's talk about it, let's make dua. I say that let's create a movement, let's talk about it, let's create a community where we will raise our voice in support of this land for the Muslims. Because the more we are sincere, that would include myself, the more we are sincere that we miss this land, we want this land, because Rasulullah said, praying in Al-Quds, in the Masjid Al-Aqsa, one prayer is equivalent to 250 prayers. There are some other narration that says 500 prayers, but that narration is weak. But it is equivalent to 250 prayers. Praying in the Masjid al-Nawawi, one prayer is like 1,000 prayer praying elsewhere. We miss this land. We want to have a piece of this land. We want to have the piece of sakina in our hearts. Not only that, this is the most important reason why we need to create awareness. Not only that we miss it, we love it, but we also want to establish the hukum of Allah in that land. Number one. And number two, we also want to make sure that once the hukum of Allah, because remember, if you are not establishing the law of Allah, if you are just liberating it because you feel like it, because you are young and you're just crazy about it, it will not happen. Let's liberate it because we want to establish hukum of Allah. And number two is that we want to liberate this place not for the sake of the Palestinian. This is what we see most of the time. It's all boils down to Palestine and Israel. No, it's not. It's not Palestine and Israel issue. It's issue with the Muslim. It's the issue for all the Muslims, for the sake of Allah Azza wa Jal. If you try to liberate this place for the sake of the Palestinian or one nationality or that or this two nationality, or for Egypt, for Morocco, if you try to bring in those countries and you justify your reason why you want this place to be free, then you will never be successful unless you say, I want to liberate this place, we want this place to be back to the Muslims because of the sake of Allah. We love Allah, we want to do it for His sake. If we do not do it, because right now this is exactly what is happening. Now I'm going to be giving you some more reasons why we should love this place, why we should care for this place. Musa alayhi salam, he said to his people, Ya qawmi udkhulu, O my qawm, enter al-ardi al-muqaddasi, okay, enter into the holy land. Okay, muqaddasata in Arabic means something that is holy. Al-ard al-muqaddasata, okay, the land that is holy. Allah, and he said, Allati kataballahu lakum, that which Allah has written for you. Who Musa alayhi salam is talking about? Who he's talking to? Not only his people at that time who followed him, but he also spoke to us, dear my sisters, you and me. He spoke to you and me that we enter into this place. This is not talking about the Yahudi. He was not talking about the Yahudi. If he's here right now, Musa alayhi salam, he would reject them because they rejected his message of monotheism. They are mushrikun, the Yahudi. Now, so Musa alayhi salam, he said, we need to enter it. Let's enter it. He is closer to us than in any other religion, faith group. Now, the other point that I also want to mention, this Palestinian, it came from the word Canaan. Okay, Canaan. These people were originally from Palestine who traveled to the Arabian Peninsula, and they met Ibrahim alayhi salam, and that happened in the year 6000 BCE. The Palestinian, the monotheistic follower of Ibrahim alayhi salam, they were there in the year 6000 BCE. When did the Yahudi enter into Jerusalem in Palestine? The first time the Yahudi entered, it was in the 1400 BCE. Almost more than 4500 years after the original Palestinians were there. So if someone says, anybody says, any Muslim, non-Muslim says that this land belongs to the Jews, the Yahudi, that it will be absolutely not true, because it belongs to the land of the Palestinian who entered into this land. The first, as we say, the first nation, the first people who entered into this land. So here you have another reason why we need to think about it, why this land belongs to not the Yahudi but to us. Assalamu alaikum rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. If you're new here, consider subscribing. I'll see you soon again. Assalamu alaikum.